Hey guys, James Wilson Taylor here for Rock Sound with another of our video calls. We are catching up with everybody while we're all stuck at home. I'm delighted to say Jaret from Bowling for Soup's on the line. How are you, mate?
I'm doing good. I'm going to be honest. I just woke up, and so I'm like looking at these bags under my eyes that you do get when you get a day or two older. And for some reason, my glasses are exclamating those today. So no, I'm not 65 years old, gang. My wife and I actually, sorry to derail the interview already.
Please do. I'm loving
it. But my wife and I had a surprise night alone last night. And so, because my son hasn't been able to stay with his grandmother, but he finally got to last night. And the two older kids are away. And so we got a box of wine, which, do you guys have those over there? A box of wine is like 4 bottles in there, you know? And we went down this rabbit hole. We watched Bohemian Rhapsody. We had never seen it. We watched Rocket Man. We had never seen it. And then we watched the Bobby Darin story. And both of us are moving a little slow this morning, but we had a great night.
I'll tell you what, let's dive straight in there because I loved Rocket Man so much, dude. That was maybe my favorite film of last year. Absolutely amazing performance, right?
I loved it. I think that kid is something special, man. I really do. His voice on some of the stuff was just breathtaking, and his performance was great. I will say I liked. I think I didn't really know what I was getting into, so it's kind of like when I went to see The Greatest Showman. I didn't know it was a musical, and like it opens up, and I'm like, "What's happening?" I like musicals, but I like to be warned, you know. But anyway, man, I was such a mess after Bohemian Rhapsody, man. Like, I mean, I could not stop the tears. I literally couldn't. I mean, just it starts at the moment where he's about to go to Live Aid, and he meets with his dad, and then just that performance and just all of it. I was just so the juxtaposition as to the kind of movies they was quite shocking from a mental state. But I enjoyed all of them.
Nice. It sounds like your lockdown's kind of going pretty well then. That's kind of how we started these, just making sure. I hope everyone, has been, kind of staying safe and as well as you can in these weird times. But it sounds like home time is enjoyable for you at the minute.
It started out to be, I just think I just am not good with unknowns. I'm not. I'm a planner. I like my calendar to be full. So thank you for this interview because it got me out of bed today. And I say that
diary for you, man. Fill in that diary.
I say that jokingly, but I really do mean it. I mean, I think you need these kinds of things just to drive the day and keep some sort of sense of normalcy, And so, because it's really hard to, with everything going on, I'm finding it really difficult to just like, okay, now I'm going to go into my studio and create, but it's like, things aren't normal out there, So at first it was a little wacky. But then I just started playing shows online. I did a StageIt show. If you guys aren't familiar with StageIt, it's a super cool like interactive show. I set it to where only 250 people can watch and they can interact while I'm playing. And I've done one for every album, or 2 actually for every album, and like I do all kinds of different themes. Anyway, that really got me to where I was like, okay, I'm kind of out of my funk. So then I just started saying yes to everything, and I've done like 60 shows since March 19th. So my wife says I'm basically on tour. I just sleep in the same bed with her at night.
What a luxury to be able to tour from home. What a real luxury for you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things could be worse. At least I've got the outlet. But yeah, I mean, we're doing okay. The effect really is on the young ones, man. My teenagers, I think, really have just found their groove, and they just are doing what they're doing. It's my 7-year-old, man, who he can only go to 2 certain houses that we've got an arrangement with, like as far as like they only allow certain people in their house and vice versa, and it's simply just to keep our world small right now because that's what we're supposed to do. And like I said, he hasn't been able to go to his grandmother's house, but we finally gave in on that. But he's the one that's feeling the impact. I mean, it's a lot of screen time, which we're trying to figure out what our next move is, especially if this is gonna keep going and if we're gonna have the second wave. That's the thing. I feel like we're gonna be prepared for it at least this time. Like we know what to do. I don't think people are gonna go buy up all the toilet paper this time. I feel like people are like, okay, we're gonna be able to wipe our asses, guys. Everybody relax. It's we should be fine. But yeah, it's been tough on him, man. He's been pretty bored, and I mean, my world hasn't stopped, and so it's difficult. I have to make sure that I take that time to go down and be like, okay, let's play a game, for 30 minutes. And
yeah, of course. It's funny that in loads of these conversations I've been having with people recently, they have said the one upside is that for people in the line of work you guys are in, being at home for this long is kind of a rarity. You make your money out on the road. That is the game. That is the business. That's what you love to do, is going out on the road and playing shows. But actually being able to, although through necessity and through this horrible situation, have that much downtime with your family, I mean, that is a really nice positive to come out of this in a weird way.
It's funny that you say that. I have a podcast called the Rockstar Dad Show, and everybody should listen to it, because it's not just for dads or about dads. We connect with other dads in the music industry, and acting. We have a stand-up comedian on this week, but nice little plug there. But in all seriousness, that's part of what we've talked about is, I think when we as adults look back on this, we may think to ourselves, remember everybody bought up all the toilet paper and you couldn't find bottled water and you couldn't, and there's this, and then we had to stay in and all the bars were closed and all this. Well, I think the kids are going to be like, hey, that's when we had lunch and dinner together every day as a family, and we took walks and we went over to the swimming pool at such and such's house, and we swam every day, and so they're not going to remember quite those things. It's funny. I was in a really bad tornado when I was in second grade. So the biggest one that Texas has ever seen, it just wiped out my whole town. And it's interesting because the things that I remember aren't necessarily all of the things that the adults had to deal with. I remember, I remember things like I only had to go to school for 5 hours a day, because we had to share our school with another. You kind of have to keep that into perspective, with the kids and try to be positive about it. But yeah, with the whole being home thing, it's the longest I've ever been away from the dudes. And so that's been hard, because, I mean, this is the longest Chris Burney and I have gone without seeing each other in 26 years, and quite frankly, that's terrifying, but we're trying to do things like actually hang out online, and we do these things called band meetings where we just go live on Facebook or whatever, and we're just hanging out and people can come watch it. And it's gotten us to where why don't we do these all the time? If we have a week off, why don't we hang out on Wednesday? And
yeah. It's funny, man. We're lucky that this horribleness has all happened when we are in a period of time where this kind of technology is available. I've said it to everyone. Being able to do interviews still is fantastic, and it's the fact that like you say, you can still communicate with your band members. And I do want to touch on that note as well. You mentioned the shows there you've been doing online. Going over so well with the fan base, and obviously being able to do that many shows from home is such a kind of great achievement there. What were the kind of challenges in terms of putting that together for you? What are the things you had to work out in those early days to make sure everything was kind of ticking along with these live shows?
The lucky thing for me is I started doing it in 2009, and so when StageIt first started, I was one of the first guys that jumped on board, and I was I really helped in answering their questions and this and this and this. I don't want to give myself too much credit, but I was pretty early in the whole process, and it was great for a few years, and then it just died off. I could not get people to come to a computer or a phone and watch me play songs. So when this thing happened, I was like, dude, I'm already set up. I know exactly what to do. My studio is actually set up as a podcast studio. It's hard to tell unless you're in here, but in every corner, it looks like a radio station in here, if you're able to see the whole room. And so I'm already set up for these kinds of things, for live broadcasts and all that. So for me, it was pretty easy, and I think I got ahead of it pretty quick, whereas a lot of people were just jumping on sort of some sort of a live feed with no mic and things like that. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it, but I want it to sound really good. And so yeah, I mean, that was one advantage that I had, and so, but I think as you go from the artist standpoint, now you're going from the fan standpoint, and just even the day-to-day worker standpoint of like, some of this stuff online isn't that bad. That I think the technology is there. Watching a show online is kind of nice sometimes. You get a glass of wine or a beer, and you take your pants off and you sit on the couch and you watch somebody play some songs, or and now they're doing these. We're actually planning one right now, which is like a full band show with production and pyro and all of that you can just watch from the comfort of your own home. So it's going to be interesting for me to see, how the big money people, Live Nation and people like that, are going to be able to parlay this into something that is everlasting. Whereas even when we're back to going to see shows, I think they've learned, hey, we can't ignore this though. There's like the world, there's 2 billion people out there that will watch this, if we market it correctly. So that, and so many of my friends who are working from home, and I'm going, are your bosses seeing any reason for you to like go back? Like they're paying rent on a place and keeping a kitchen, and like, what's the point?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think there's a lot of changes coming soon. And like you say, I hope these kind of home shows continue, because it's been really fun seeing what everyone's kind of been up to in lockdown. Everyone trying really different stuff. But like I say, really good approach from you guys. And I do actually want to mention, of course, one of the things that you guys have been able to keep going, literally just as we come online, by the way, this seemed to get announced, but there's some new music coming this week, which is pretty cool. Talk to me about Erase Me.
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the things we started last year was we started trying to do a cover song every month. Well, we found that was very difficult, and not from a music standpoint, but more just from a people around us, like publicity and things like that, where they're like, hey, well, we want to give each song at least the time for us to send it out and and everybody react to it and all that. So we need more like 6 weeks, 2 months. So we've just been pounding out these cover songs, and the way that they're chosen is literally like, us on tour in a swimming pool just talking about like, we should do this or we should do this. And Chris had this idea to do Erase Me, which is by Kid Cudi, and it's totally out of left field for Bowling for Soup. However, he finally got me to listen to it, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And so in the middle of it, Kid Cudi actually has Kanye West come in and rap on it. And so I aimed for the stars. I went and I tried to get a few like dudes that I knew I couldn't get. And then I was just like, let's go get some kid from Dallas who is just like up and coming, and who, let's try to like reach out to someone who's got the youth right now, and like, let's bridge this gap, and for him and for us, like let's and what we did was we went and got this kid 10K Cash, who's from here, who has had some great success online. And it's awesome because it's like Bowling for Soup fans that are hearing about us doing this song are like, oh yeah, I remember when Kid Cudi did that song. Who's this dude? And I'm like, ask your kids. And their kids are like, what? Bowling for Soup got 10K on. So, yeah, I mean, it came out amazing. Like, I'm super, super happy for it. We did a video for it by us all social distancing in our house, and that'll be out on Friday. So I'm not sure when this will come out, but
I think by the time this is out, people will have just been able to hear it. So that's very, very exciting. We'll get the reactions online there, but it's such a cool idea. Such a cool idea for a cover right there.
Yeah, and dude, and all, it's funny. It's like Chris Burney doesn't really say a lot, but when he does, it takes you a minute, and then you listen and you're like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's come up with most of our album titles and a bunch of our video ideas, but again, he just sort of doesn't really have an opinion about much until he does. And I got to give him full credit on this one, man. I mean, it was actually his idea to do this one and the last Social Distortion cover that we did. So kudos to him. But yeah, and we're going to keep them coming. We got a couple of more covers down the way coming, and I assume you were about to ask me what else is along the musical path, so I will just keep going.
I had it for a little later, but let's do it now. Hey, what else is on that musical path of yours? Tell me about it.
We're doing Songs People Actually Like Volume 2, which is the next 4 years. So we did the first 10, and now it's the next 4 years. So re-recording our greatest hits or our fan favorites and putting it all into one compilation. That has been in the works since early this year, sort of fell off. And then so that will come out and will include the hit single Alexa Bliss, along with another original that we wrote called I can't remember what it's called. It's been that long. But this just in, I decided I missed my guys so much. Something that we have not done since 2009 is a destination album where we go somewhere, we make a record, and we come back and there's a record done and we get it together and we put it out. So in September, we are going up to the Poconos where Rob lives, our bass player, and we are going to record a new Bowling for Soup album, all new material, and then along the lines of along the way, more cover songs, and just I think we can't really be called the busiest band in the world as we probably were back in 2003 to 2007, but we're pretty close.
Yeah, you're pretty close, man. You're keeping very busy. That's exciting to see. Lots of exciting stuff on the horizon there. And you mentioned, of course, obviously you spent a lot of time with the re-recordings and looking back and all that kind of stuff. I did want to mention, obviously, your biggest ever UK hit, I believe still, but Go All the Bad Guys just went gold in the UK, which is awesome. And again, recently, yeah.
Yeah, in America. So, it went gold in America, which is crazy. I actually need to check the UK. Because it may have.
I'll double check while we talk, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's done very well over here too. But it's but again, that's what we were saying. Again, with this cover, like you guys are about to release, the idea of like the two audiences coming together, that's the proof right there, right? Because that song's however many years old, still getting those hits, man, still getting those listens.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. Girl the Bad Guys Want and High School Never Ends both just went gold in America, and 1985 just went double platinum. So, I have actually cleared this wall, so all of my gold records are moving from. They used to be behind me, so I took them all down, redid that wall, and now they're all going to be up on that wall. So I've got a stack of them out there waiting to go. Thank you to the fans for that, by the way, and 3 new ones coming in. So, but you bring up a really good point. I really do need to check the UK because
while we've just been talking there, I haven't gone insane, as reported by a very reputable source, rocksound.tv, baby. You guys went gold with Go All the Bad Guys Want back in May, end of May. May 20th, we reported that. That has gone gold in the UK as well, my man. How very exciting, right? Very,
very exciting. Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah, there we go. I'm glad I get to break that news to you. That's so crazy.
Honestly, I had zero idea. Like, that is the coolest thing ever. So I am freaking stoked. Because our first ever plaque, oh shit, it used to hang back there, but was you guys actually used to do silver records. And so we had a silver, Drunk Enough to Dance went silver over there. That was our very first plaque. So, exciting stuff. It's funny. I think some people have a certain attitude towards trophies and things like that. And for me, I have to say every one of them is just a milestone and like something else that this stupid little band from Texas just got out there and accomplished. And man, we were so DIY for so long. And just, the things that we've done and the things that we've seen continue to amaze me. And I'm in it, So it's just a testament, I think, to the loyalty of you guys report this a lot. I mean, every time you guys come see us, the loyalty of our fan base is just second to none. I mean, I just don't know, unless we get into like cult-like bands, where like we're like a fucking cult or whatever, then maybe, but I think we just have these loyal, passionate, happy fans that just, have carried it and continue to do so.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So excited to see it. Congratulations on that. And I want to leave you with this, by the way, because again, I don't. This may be more news I get to break to you. Definitely saw this the other day. Jack Saunders, who's a DJ over here on Radio One on the BBC, he tweeted this the other day. He said, "Someone just messaged me on Instagram saying they gave birth while listening to my radio show and wanted to know what song was playing at the time their child was born. Well, it turns out it was Bowling for Soup. Girl, all the bad guys want. You have just sanctioned the birth of this new child. Is that a first for you guys? Is that a new thing?
I mean, I guess it has to be. I mean, I know that there's like doctors in the world that they can listen to music during their surgeries, and they listen to Bowling for Soup during their surgery. And we once awoke the astronauts with Come Back to Texas. And so we were #1 in space for a day. But yeah, this is the first time that I think someone has acknowledged the fact that we brought a child into the world. So, hey man, we get credit for childbirth now.
Another thing to add to that list. There it goes.
Put it on the list.
List of achievements, man. Jaret, it's always so good to chat to you, man. Loads of exciting stuff to come, and stay safe, you and your family, all right?
Hey, man, you too. Always a pleasure, and hopefully, before I feel like we would have been seeing each other at Download just a couple of weeks ago. It's super weird, and but let's all get through this together. Be nice to people, guys. Be kind and courteous, and stay safe. And thank you guys for keeping everybody entertained and informed. And I can't say enough about what Rock Sound has done for our band. So thank you. And
very kind words, man. I appreciate what you do, and look forward to seeing what comes next, man, as well. Good stuff.
Take care, man.
All right, take care, man. Jaret, everybody.